In this video, you'll see how to create a data transformation job based on a template to move data between remote directories in IBM Cloud Pak for data. From the navigation menu, in the Organize section, select Transform Data. Here you can either create a new data transformation project or open an existing project. This project has a number of collaborators, connections, table definitions, parameters, and jobs already defined. You can use a job template to generate a job that automates and simplifies data movement, taking data from a source and moving it to a target. And if you are an administrator, you can define target rule sets that define best practices and have users apply those target rule sets to their job templates and auto-generated jobs. On the Jobs tab, you can create a template. You'll first identify the source assets. In this case, the source is a remote directory or pattern, and then specify the location where the source files are. From the list of files in the CSV directory, you can select which files you'd like to include. You'll then see a list of columns in the selected CSV file, and you can individually deselect any of the columns. Notice that you can also include subdirectories and refresh the list. Next, you need to specify the details for the target. In this case, you'll be creating a file in a remote directory that was previously set up. Now take a look at the sequential file target connector options. You can see that the first line is column names option is toggled off. You're going to apply rule sets that were previously set up. The first is the sequential file target connector rule set, which specifies the first line is column names option is enabled. The update mode is create, and the option for users to modify these settings when applying the template is also enabled. When you apply this rule set, notice that the options change to match the rule set. You do have the ability to change these options. The other rule set is the sequential file target naming rule set, which specifies a prefix for the target file names, a suffix for target column names, and an additional column for the timestamp. You'll see these naming rules applied on the next screen. Here are the mappings for the source file. Notice the target file contains the QA prefix defined in the naming rule set. When you expand the target columns, you'll see the original source columns, and the target columns contain the suffix defined in the naming rule set, along with the new timestamp column that was added. You can make changes to the columns, except where the rule set mandates. The next screen provides a summary of the source and target assets and the mappings. From here, you can save the template. This will allow other users to use your template, make minor modifications, which both saves time and encourages best practices. And then generate a job. This initiates a new job based on this template. Both the job and the templates are displayed on the Jobs tab. When you open the job, you'll see the employee source. Looking at the details for the source, you'll see the path to the file. Next, look at the transformer stage. On the Outputs tab, you'll see the column suffix and the timestamp column that will be added to the target file. And then look at the details for the target node, which contains the target remote directory, file name with the prefix, and the first line option selected. Now you're ready to compile the job and then run the job. When the run is complete, you can open the details for the target node and view the target file that has the added timestamp column and suffixed column names. Now let's edit the template. Currently, there's one file selected from the remote directory, but you can use a pattern to see multiple files. For example, using sales with the wildcard symbol displays 3 files that begin with sales. If I select all of these files, then every time I run the job, it will process just these 3 files. But if the list of files in this directory is dynamic, you would actually want all of the files in this directory beginning with sales to be processed when the job runs, whether there are 3 files or 12 files. To do that, click the lock icon. So now when the job runs, the list of files that exist in the directory that match the pattern will be processed. The one caveat here is that all of the files need to share the same column schema. There are no changes to the target assets, and because the source remote directory is locked, there are no defined mappings until runtime. Likewise, there is no summary available for review. So just generate the job. On the Jobs tab, you'll see 2 new jobs. One is a sequence job, and the other is a parallel job. Let's first look at the sequence job. You can see that the job contains an execute command and a loop where the parallel job is executed for each file in the directory. Looking at the execute node, you'll see the command that pulls a list of the files to be processed. And the job node shows the name of the parallel job to execute. It contains a number of parameters to pass, which include the file name, extensions, and first part of the file name. So for now, just compile this job. Now let's look at the parallel job. The first is the sequential file node. Here's the directory that you specified in the template and the file name parameter. Next, look at the transformer stage. On the Outputs tab, you can see the columns and data types based on the schema. The last node contains the target remote directory, along with the naming convention for the new sequential files, which is made up of 3 parameters: the prefix from the rule set, the first part of the file name, and the file extension. All that's left to do here is compile the job. Now you're ready to run this sequence job. Again, the execute command is going to get the list of files that match the pattern and then run the parallel job. It will run through the loop for each file. When the job run is complete, you can view the log. Here you see that the results of the execute command was 3 files. And then further down, you can see where the file name is broken up into the first part and the extension. And then the first file is run through the parallel job. And then the second file, and the third file. If you switch to the parallel job and specify one of the new file names in the target node, for example, QA_sales.txt was one of the new files created in the remote directory. When you view the file, you can see the columns with the suffix and the additional timestamp column. Find more videos in the IBM Cloud Pak for Data Learning Center.